Testing, testing, testing. Hey everybody. Happy March. Does that sound okay? Marissa. My beautiful Marissa, who I love so much. She helps me with, she's my tech goddess. Thank you so much for everything. Always throws me off because it's like a little bit of a lag time. But I'm getting used to this streaming situation with Meld, and it'll get better and better from here. The tech is coming together. I'm a little discombobulated. I had a really rough night last night. I couldn't sleep, and speaking of Marissa, I was just telling her the other day how, I'm not looking at any news. I'm trying to stay away from all that, but last night I couldn't sleep, and I started looking at some of the stuff, about the war, and it upset me so much. And March, named after the god of war, Mars. It's just apropos, right? We are in a great time of upheaval and transition. In the world, and this is a big time to make sure that we really try to check in with our hearts and with our deepest core values and decide to stand firm on what we believe and be hopeful for the future, as a lot of these power structures are going to hopefully collapse and make way for this new world that's coming. The age of Aquarius, which we've been sort of gently going into for 50 years. It's about a 50-year transition into these big ages, and we've been talking about it since the 60s, and it's supposed to be closer and closer. And it's supposed to have, a lot of global meaning for peace and for the people to rise up against the power structures that keep leading us into endless wars. And let's hope that we, the people, can decide to choose love and choose a world without so much violence. Prayers. I thought tonight I would actually just not worry about all my notes. I have a kind of a VIP client that came to town last minute, and I've been so focused on saving money for my trip this summer. I'm going to be doing some traveling, hopefully for several months, maybe even longer. And it'll be really fun to go live with you guys along the way in some different parts of the country. So that's my big goal. That's what I'm focused on. I feel like I am a deeply nomadic person in my heart. And if this time is about us all reaching in and becoming just more and more clear and aware of who we are and what we really want and what really makes us happy, then for me it's travel. And I am just a very nomadic person, and so I don't know that I will land back in Phoenix. I have a feeling that maybe there's a new place out there for me to adventure to, and I'm thinking New Mexico, which is not far, so it'll allow me to come back here often. because I have a lot of dear friends here and clients here. So let's burn some sage, cleanse our space. I tried to set this up so that you guys could see my altar, but I couldn't get it figured out. It's hard when you have such a small room and my bed is in the way. I can't move the camera back. I think you can kind of see though. Actually, maybe if I move this table a little bit, even a little bit closer to me. How was everybody's February? How was everybody's embolic? We will be moving March 21st into the Spring Equinox, Ostara, when all of our dreams and seeds that we planted over the winter begin to seed and sprout little roots, and little shoots will start to come up. So it's a time to tend those little baby seeds and nourish them and water them and keep them growing through the spring. What projects are y'all working on? A little bit of anointing. Let's take some deep breaths. Do some neck rolls. Just ground down into your body, into your heart. It's so hard to do when things are so chaotic and there's a lot of fear going on. I always have a lot of survivor guilt during these conflicts because there's people being bombed and children, and I just can never seem to get my mind kind of away from that stuff. And I'm just here trying to be thankful for having a safe space, a roof over my head, a warm bed to sleep in, my health, and just be thankful and grateful. So, does anyone play video games in here? Hi! Sounds good. Great, I can see the chat. Yes, you are the tech goddess, for sure. So for all you gamers, there's a game called Breath of the Wild. And I was gonna look at it somehow because I don't have a video game console or anything, but I want to like visually see what this game is about. But in the video game, there's a blood moon that rises, and when the blood moon rises in the game resets, and the monsters kind of come back out, and there's this character Zelda, and she says, "Link, be careful, Link, the blood moon rises again. By its glow, the aimless spirits of monsters that were slain in the name of the light return to flesh." And that struck me. That sentence just struck me. monsters that were slain in the name of the light. And I thought that would be a good thing to meditate on, because sometimes when we name an enemy and we start slaying demons and monsters, do we really know that they're the enemy? Um, for me, in a personal context, this has to do with being so nomadic and getting older and being worried, that that's no longer appropriate, and that I need to learn to settle down, and I need to learn to put my roots down, and I can't be running around everywhere. So that concept has to do with just coming to terms and really understanding who you are. And sometimes the monster you think you want to slay is impossible to slay. It will keep coming up because it's something that you need to actually accept and face, and find a path, a bridge towards, instead of taking it down. So yeah, I've been doing just a lot of deep thinking for myself, and that's what this time is supposed to be about. This planetary reset that's hard to figure out, because I've been looking at it and looking at it. What does this mean? This 0 Point Aries in this. And actually we go into 0 Point Aries every year. I don't know a lot about astrology. There's so much to learn. But this one was different, and it has to do with these, the solar eclipse, and now this total lunar eclipse, the fact that we've moved into FIrehorse, the year of the FIrehorse, and well, anyway, I'm not going to worry too much about going all through my notes, because, again, I think we'll be a little short of time. But planetarily, there's a lot to research if you want to look into the planets, and it goes on into April with some interesting conjunctions, Saturn and Neptune, and there's a lot for me to learn about astrology. It's not the thing that I've ever spent a lot of time on. There's a Hopi prophecy, an ancient Hopi prophecy. The Hopi Indians are in northern Arizona, and they were always mesa dwellers. So they were not nomadic as a tribe. They settled in, and they had agriculture, and they had water, ways of regulating water and wells. And the Navajo lives just to the east in New Mexico, and they were always a very nomadic tribe. And when the government drew lines and put all of the Native Americans into reservations, the native tribes really suffered, because that's not part of their culture to be stable like that. They were used to moving around. And I ran across an article where, I'm going to light some incense here. There's a place called Big Mountain in northern Arizona, which was an ancient sacred site to the Navajo, and they would visit it every year and do a ceremony there. And I guess last year, or pretty recently, the Hopi destroyed this mountain because they didn't want the Navajo coming into their territory to worship at this mountain. And it just connects to everything, about ownership and power and drawing lines, and rather than sharing. And I know that it's complicated politically, but I guess for me, as someone who's deeply nomadic, it makes me very sad that we can't share this beautiful earth with each other and find peace and find compromise in situations like that. But the Hopi have an ancient prophecy called the Blue Kachina. Again, interesting to research. It's Kachina with a K, Kachina, and it's this blue star. Rather than the red blood moon, it's actually a blue star that's prophesied to appear either this month or next month, sometime around now. And it's a bearer of peace. And it just made me sad that even though they have this great prophecy, they made that decision recently to do what they did. And I just feel like it's a really great time right now to reach in and think about what really matters to each of us, and rather than focus on the power structures falling and the negativity and the conflict, to really join this new, hopefully new energy coming up that will come up as things fall, and it will hopefully be peaceful, and it will be people returning back to a more simple way of life, maybe less materialistic and more sharing. So, on that note, I wanted to bring up Bruce Lee. Amidst all this fire energy, by the way, we're sitting under a red light, a red infrared light that I try to use it pretty often. I just lay under it on my massage table. It's supposed to be really great for healing, deep healing in the body, healing of inflammation. It's great for your skin. And there's a lot of red lights on the market, a lot of really expensive, fancy red lights. I just went and bought a reptile bulb at the store and a simple lamp. And it may not be, I don't know if it's as effective, but I love it. So we're sitting under the red glow of the infrared lamp, and we have waves behind us, because how do you get through? How do you deal with all this fire energy right now? All this flame and fire? Well, as Bruce Lee said, you be like water and you flow. Our rune for the month, okay, where are we? Here we go. Our rune for the month, Elwaz. The yew tree, or as we call it, the birch tree. A very strong tree with deep, deep roots and a strong trunk, representing endurance and flexibility. Holding center through the wave of this reset energy like the yew tree. Elwaz. I stand rooted deeply and protected as I pass through this transformation. Elwaz. Like water flows. Water's flexible. And I thought I would read Brandon Lee's poem that's on his gravesite. Growing up, going to college in Seattle, we would get drunk in that cemetery all the time. It brings back a lot of memories. There was a lot of vigils to Bruce and Brandon Lee's grave sites in Seattle, at that cemetery up in Volunteer Park. A lot of flowers, a lot of empty beer bottles, a lot of tears, a lot of music, a lot of late night shenanigans when I was in my early 20s. But it's such a beautiful poem. It says, because we don't know when we will die, we get to think of life as an inexhaustible well, yet everything happens a certain number of times, and really a very small number. How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood? Some afternoon that's so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it. Perhaps 4 or 5 times more, perhaps not even that. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Perhaps 20, and yet it all seems limitless. For Brandon and Eliza, ever joined in true love. I got a new tarot deck this morning. I went to our bookstore and I got a Rider-Waite deck because, oops, there goes my ring light. Oh, it still looks good. The Rider-Waite is sort of the OG tarot deck that has really so much imagery and symbols and the colors that really represent the tarot, and it's always so much fun to use other decks. You know, I've got many, but I decided I needed to reconnect to the Rider-Waite so that I can continue my study of the tarot and keep learning about really all of those specific aspects of each card. And this book, Guided Tarot by Stephanie Capone, is wonderful. It leads you through the Rider-Waite in a beautiful way. So I ordered this, and I'm going to be putting together a kind of a my favorite things shopping list. I should have that on my website in the next few days. So if you want to go and check out some things that I use in my live streams that I love and recommend, also some tech gear, I'll have that for you. I also wanted to let you guys know that I'm building my Etsy store. So I have my tarot readings on my Etsy store. If you'd like a virtual reading, we can deep dive into a 60-minute soul journey, or we can do a quicker 1-card or 3-card meeting. So I have that available now too, and I'll have that link in the description and on my website also. So let's pull some cards. What time is it? Marissa, getting my finances in order this month. I'm hoping you can pull a card for me on how I can stay laser focused on what I need to do to make more money. Exactly. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm cutting this live stream a little short, because when someone says, oh, this is when I'm free and only then, and you want to make money, you have to say yes. That's called working on call, y'all. Yes, manifesting money. I should have gotten some cash. I'm not even sure I have any cash because I went to the bank today. So I don't know that I have any cash. We could have had some cash out here. Manifesting money. Let's light our ritual candle. And focus on manifesting money. Does anyone else have a question you'd like me to pull a card? You know, my vision for these live streams is not just to talk for a frickin' hour. My vision is to build a community so that I have more than just Marissa in here asking to, you know, pull some cards or, you know, just be able to be with each other really, you know, in this hour and get to know each other a little. That's my dream, is to really build a community, and it takes time. So I'm putting that out there to the universe, though. That's really what my goal is for this whole project. Money, money. This is like a little baby Rider-Waite deck. It's really pretty small. It's cute though. It came with a cute little case. I couldn't resist it. It's always so much fun to go and get a new deck. I'm the worst shuffler too. I need to practice. You know, I get really intimidated when I get on Etsy or on TikTok and I see these tarot readers and they can shuffle, and you know, they've got these long nails and they're super witchy and they, you know, they've got all this down, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't shuffle like that. But you know what? It doesn't matter. That's not what it's about. You know, that's not the real thing. Just gimmicks. That's just a gimmick. But I've tried. I've really tried, and then they can, like, you know, they do all these different things. You know, like, yeah. Okay. Seven of Swords. The Devil. King of Pentacles. This is where, you know what, you know, and I should have done it today. This would have been so pretty. Actually, though, you can see, but I don't think we're too far off tech-wise because I have my tripod that I got for this purpose, to have a camera kind of arching up over, so I could have that as a layer and just flip to that. And I mean, that's what I want to do for virtual readings. So I'm getting it. I'm getting the tech. I just am always so kind of nervous and scared that I move forward very slowly with it. But so what is going on here? Because this is fear, bondage, and the King of Pentacles. I mean, is this the job? You know, the current situation kind of instilling. Oh, when a card pops out like that, you always want to, like, bring it into the reading. The Magician. Exactly. Because whatever's inside of you that's kind of blocking or making you feel in bondage to really an energy that is more of a thief, you know, of your energy, and maybe very much a King of Pentacles, you have the power to change that, to work your magic, and to take back your own magic. So let's pull a few on the Devil. Eight of Swords. So yeah, just a lot of mental fear and feeling bound. Um, it's really hard to make big changes when there are some really good things in either a relationship or a job. So like you want change, but you're stuck because there's all of these things that are sustaining you and that are maybe hard to give up. So yeah, I think that's what's going on here. You want more money and you want a better situation. Yeah, I'm so glad to have this new Rider-Waite deck. But this is where you're at. The Eight of Swords, you can't see what would really be another opportunity. And the swords are mental, not physical, but for now you feel very bound. Let's pull on the Magician here, the Tower, the Hermit, the Star. Yes, things need to, a lot of very, I mean, we both know, you're willing to give up the specific industry. Yeah, I think you need a big change away from the structure. The Hermit, you need to really spend some soul searching time, really thinking and being more clear about what that would look like and what you really want, what your soul desires. And you need to always just remember that you are the star. You are absolutely the star, my dear. And sometimes it's just not quite time, Sometimes we have to give ourselves a break, because when the devil comes up, you kind of are in bondage for that second, and it feels really scary, but you always can release that. You can always release bondage. Well, I mean, obviously, again, I go back to people that are really in bondage and suffering, but in terms of spiritually, and it's up to us. The devil really represents these two figures that have chained themselves to the devil. It's up to you to release those chains and break out of that mindset and that reality. So yes, the star. All right, well, on this March full blood worm moon, the worm being that early sign of spring, the little worms wriggling around with the tender little buds about to emerge from that cold winter soil, new life coming around the corner, warmth. Spring flowers are around the corner. We're in the very last phase of winter. Cheers to that, y'all. And let's do some burning. I don't know that I'm going to read my words out loud, though. They're pretty personal. I have a lot of anger right now that I'm dealing with. I shouldn't have looked at the news. These motherfuckers, man. I tell you, they just keep... I would personally like to strangle all of them. If I could, I would. So... Where's my pen? Okay. Let's see. What's a good word for when you fall into a negativity? Do you have any words, Marissa, you'd like to burn? You can always text them if you don't want me to say them out loud. I won't. I don't know if the chat shows up for everyone or if it's just for me. Hold on, yeah, I really gotta go here. Okay, yeah. Gotta run, y'all. Alrighty. Emotions, emotional intensity. Let go, let go. Focus on love. War. Can we be done with all the endless war? And this one is private. Be done. Be done. Thank you guys. It's been really lovely. It always is. I'll see you next month. Namaste and peace to all. Remember to love yourself and take care of yourself. Bye.